Hello again. Um, Tonight, I thought I would talk about one of my favorite manga series, and that would be Goodnight Punpun. Um, I read this series just a couple of months ago for the first time, and instantly became one of my favorites. It's definitely a series that I had, uh, I like to watch like YouTube videos and get recommendations for different manga and stuff like that. And I've seen people recommend this a number of times, and so I was like, okay, from the sound of it, it sounds like it's very interesting. So um, it was high up on my list of things I wanted to read, and I was gifted the first one by a friend at work. And as soon as I read the first volume, I was like, okay, we have to immediately read the rest of it. I want to say it's like a 7 book series. Um, so yeah, and I'll try not to, if you have not read it, I won't go into like, major spoilers or anything like that because I guess part of my goal of this video would be if you are a manga fan and you have not read this series, it's not for everyone. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I would highly recommend it. It's one of the best things I've ever read, for real. Um, so, Goodnight Punpun is by Inio Asano. This was the first series that I read by him, and um, wow, where do I start? Um, it's definitely, when I'd like to talk about video games, manga, anime, in all three of those categories, there are definitely works of art where I call it a life changer. You know what I mean? Like, it's so impactful to you that it falls in that category of like, you know, if you read this 7 book series, it changes your life. You look at life in a whole new way after you've experienced this art form, and this is one of them. So it's a must read. Um, so just at a high level, you know, Goodnight Punpun follows this young boy Punpun through his younger years and teenage years and into his young adulthood, and it's uh, it's full of pain. I mean, it's full of a lot of things. There is just and it's there's such a contrast because one of the things that the series is, I guess, most known for is that the main character Pun Pun is drawn as like a bird, like a ghost bird type thing, right? It's on the cover here. That little ghost guy is Pun Pun. Now, everybody else in the series is drawn like a typical anime, you know, character, fairly realistic. And the backgrounds in his artwork are extremely realistic. The art in this, his art style is extremely unique. I think it's one of the things that also sets him apart from other uh, artists. So Pun Pun, and it's so funny because like I said, Pun Pun is drawn as this little cartoony bird character. He's the most relatable character I've ever read, practically. You know what I mean? And I think it's intentional. There's so many things in this series that are I I think are clearly done intentional. And Pun Pun is not just drawn as this bird character. He's drawn. I was thinking about this tonight before I wanted to make this video. He's drawn as an emotion, is what he is. His appearance changes from a bird character. When he's a bird character, it's when he's a child. He's innocent. Like when you see that image of the bird, that's just this cute, innocent child. And as he gets older, the teenage Pun Pun has the gelled out hair, which is so funny. Um, and it's times when he is trapped and works himself into such a box, he becomes like a triangle shape, and it's hard to explain, which is why you must read it. But thinking back on it, the way that the main character is presented changes because it's just an emotion. And because it's just such a not a face, because it's just drawn as this like emotion, this cartoony emotion. I think it makes it more relatable too. You know what I mean? You can kind of put yourself in this character's shoes and relate to just what he's going through. You know what I mean? Because his appearance, you know, he's not some other face that is different from your face. He's drawn as this uh, very relatable, emotive cartoon character. It sounds kind of silly, but I'm telling you, it was done with intention and it works. It's wild. Um, the series covers a lot of very um, sensitive topics, um, for sure. But it's, I talked about it in a previous video, humanistic. This guy, this author, um, taps into a so many like personal humanistic feelings of the human experience, and he does it with ease. You know what I mean? Like he just he could have these characters say a couple of silly sentences, but he picks the right ones, and it's just instantly, and Pun Pun is a very tragic character. Now, I certainly didn't go through all of his same struggles through childhood and whatnot, but I relate to them. You know what I mean? Like, even though I didn't like mirror his experience, I had a lot of parallels to his experience that are just, again, it's just so real sometimes. Um, and a lot of the story of Pun Pun is him as a young child and as he goes through adolescence and teenage years, and that's a very, especially as a male, and it does go into a lot of like, um, of his like sexual growth and experience, and it's taught, it's uh, it's written through such a first person point of view from Pun Pun that, man, it's just like this author goes into those like personal, quiet, no one else is around moments as like a young teenage boy, um, that like other people don't want to, like no one wants to talk about, right? But he's not afraid to like be very open and raw with like those moments of just being, a young person, uh, on trying to figure out who you are and what is life and what is everything, um, uh, and because he goes into those places that most people don't go, that's what makes it so interesting. It's so vulnerable and raw. You're just uh, it's just so easy to like connect with. And sometimes he talks about, like the story just goes into places that, again, it's just, you know I don't know where I was going. It was just very, I was just like, when I was reading it, I was just like, thank you for going into this kind of subject matter in this kind of way. Um, and it also it's very weird. It gets, there are character arcs and plot lines and stuff that are just absolutely out of left field. And I don't even know if I understand everything. I've only read it once. I would definitely have to go back and read it again. Um, but man, there's just so much going on. Um, Again, the char- there the character his writing for characters is so strong. You know what I mean? He'll introduce a character, and within like 2 or 3 pages, they'll say a couple sentences, and you understand these characters so quickly. You know what I mean? And I think that's like just fantastic writing. I mean, it's amazing. Some people are gifted in that way. This guy, and I haven't really talked about the artwork is so amazing. He has very specific styles to his character design, as well as his background. I think he's kind of like infamously known for his highly detailed background. And I've also researched how it's interesting because um, he he takes a lot of like photographic images and then like will like import them, like manipulate them to kind of turn them black and white, and then he'll like draw like over top of them or like manipulate them in various ways. um, and the result are just very highly detailed backgrounds that aren't common in manga. And again, it kind of brings an element of like realness, and just they're beautiful drawings. However, he's able to like capture them. But it's very I've looked at how he's been able to accomplish some of the detail, and it's very interesting. Um, but and his again his characters are written beautifully. Um, and I mean, this story is crushing. I mean, it will break you. I mean, I definitely teared up a couple of times. Um, and there'll be moments where you'll be filled with such happiness when something goes right in this guy's story, and then you know there's gonna be moments of just absolutely crushing pain. It's heartbreaking. Um, Again, I'm not gonna, at least in this video, I don't really want to get into specifics, but just the main couple of characters, Pun Pun, Aiko, it's man, these characters are just so dynamic and mysterious and real. Um, it's wonderful. Um, what else do I want to say about Goodnight Punpun? Again, I don't want to talk about too much about the story because again, if you haven't read it, I just implore you to read it. Now, again, it does, it does go into very serious subject matter of like assault and kind of like child abuse and the taking of one's life and stuff like that. So it does have very heavy subject matter for real. So if that's not your thing, that's the only people I would say it's definitely not meant for children either. This is an 18 plus. I would not let, I mean, maybe in a very advanced teenager, but I mean, this is like an 18 plus just because of the subject matter. But as an adult reading it, even though it's about like a childhood experience mostly, and it hits so hard. Um, so yes, Goodnight Punpun. It's just after I read it, and it's one of those. When I was reading it, I had the first book, and I was like, okay, let me order like volumes 2 and 3, and then like I blew through volume 2. I was going through volumes like I need to order the rest of this series because like I can't. I was reading it like every night. I couldn't put it down. So the story, because it's kind of the story about this guy's childhood. You'll want to, you know, maybe get the first book, and if you dig it, get the rest of it because you'll have to see where it goes. Um, and so many characters. His parents, his uncle, uncle, what I forget the guy's Yuchi, um, and then later on he meets the one, the one, the one girl. I'm so bad with names, but the one girl that kind of gets him out of his funk, that draws manga as well. Man, these characters are just so memorable, and it's one of those series where it's just like months after I've read it, it like floats in my brain from time to time, and I just think about it. You know what I mean? And I was thinking about it tonight, so I was like, you know what? I'll talk about Pun Pun tonight because it was, there's life before Pun Pun and life after Pun Pun. It's one of those series. So, um, yeah, boy, I don't know. Maybe at another time I'll do more of like a like spoiler story stuff because I have so many thoughts and questions about a lot of it that I don't even, I just you're left with some, there's a lot of abstract in it, so you're left with like, what is that? What did all this mean? You know what I mean? So maybe I'll talk about it more another night. Um, so yeah, we got it's Goodnight Punpun. It's by Inio Asana, and it instantly shot up into probably my top 3 manga series that I've ever read. It's fantastic. And after reading it, I instantly was like, I'm on a mission now. I got to read pretty much the rest of this guy's, catalog because I have to see where, what his brain is coming up with. I'm on the same wavelength as him. So yeah, I don't know. I guess there's more I could probably talk about, but I guess that's probably a good point to stop for tonight. So hey, thanks for hanging with me. Um, I guess I would say, have you read the series? What did you think about it? Are you interested in reading about it? Please leave a comment. Um, or if, do you have is there a manga series that you have read that you would throw in the life changer category? Because I'm always looking for recommendations. So feel free to hit me up with some of your favorites. But yeah, it's been nice talking with you. Have a good night. I'll catch you next time. Take care.